Boomhauer69 here, and as you can see on my computer screen, I'm going to show this article I found on boardpanda.com. I'll put a link in the description if you want to read it. I'm just going to do a reaction video to the pictures. It says, I love woodworking. 50 times woodworking enthusiasts took their projects to another level and shared the results in this Instagram account. So we'll go through and look at the pictures, and I'll basically do a reaction of them and talk about them, obviously. Like this picture right here, it's a nice little bookshelf type thing, bed, you know. The only thing I wouldn't care about that too much is the sky lighting. Yes, I know it brings in natural lighting and stuff, but the thing I'd be worried about that sky lighting is basically over time would it start leaking, you know. But besides that, you know, I see why they put it in. It's a nice idea, and I can see this be kind of handy for maybe somebody who lives in a small house, condo, or apartment, and you ain't got a whole lot of space or something, you know, you live in like a small confined space, and you want to kind of combine two things at one. I guess as they call it, kill two birds with one stone kind of thing. But yeah, it is a neat thing. It's just not something I'd have, you know. I wouldn't get that, but now that is neat right there. That right there is neat. That big bear. They must have had to like have some sort of like sky lift to almost do that bear to lift them up to be able to reach the top part. Yeah, that's definitely nice, but or maybe something really tall, just with a forklift with a pallet went stuck onto it. But man, that's, you can tell the guys who did that, they were definitely talented. Now this little garden sculpture thingy, that's neat. I don't know if that's like a little bench where you're supposed to be able to sit on it, but if it is, it looks like it would be kind of uncomfortable. But if it's just a decorative to look at garden thing and not really like a bench to sit on, then I can see that definitely being kind of neat, you know. Whoever did that definitely got some skills and talented. I gotta hand it to them. If you can do that sort of stuff, you know, more power to you, because it's like, that's just neat. Now this, man, it must have took somebody a while to do something like that, you know. That's neat right there. That must have took quite a few days or even months and even possibly a year or two probably to sculpture that, you know. It's neat because some people just have that vision, you know. They can just think of something in their head and then basically just do it, you know, and make it a reality, you know. I wish I had that kind of skill, you know, make something a reality. Now, I thought this was neat. What I like about it is it's neat, but again, it's just something simple, you know. It's just a kind of like a nature-y kind of thing, kind of little decorative shelf thing. Now, I don't know if that's like supposed to be like kind of like some sort of like bookshelf or just a wall hanging decorative piece. I imagine it looks like just something you hang on the wall and you kind of look at, but I could see having something like that in like an apartment or something, or just you got a blank wall in your living room or something and you want to kind of dress it up with something. That would be neat. But what I'd almost be tempted to try to do is like do something like that, but like make it into like a bookshelf, so it'd be a little more kind of useful. But still, that's neat. I could definitely seeing something like that kind of in maybe like a cabin or something too, or like if you live in the city, maybe having that hanging on the wall if you like nature stuff, you know. Now this, I thought right here was really neat. This little like outdoor office, library, tiny house type space. I really like the windows there, you know, the big giant windows. open, The only thing is I'd hate to be the person that, when one of them breaks, have to replace it, obviously, but because that'd probably be expensive. But man, that's neat right there. What I would do is, if I was a person and I was building something like that, I don't know if that's like got like a loft area up at the top, or is that just like one of those really high ceiling type things that looks like it's got like a ceiling, like a split. I would make that into two things, make like a upstairs loft area and then like the downstairs office area, and so that way make the upstairs loft area like a guest room or something, so you'd have a little extra room in case you got guests over or something. I think that's the way that it looks in the picture, might be set up the way the ceiling is. It looks like they might have maybe did that, made part of it into like two portions, but yeah. Because I could see that would be a nice workspace if you're somebody that needs an office and you want a lot of fresh air and stuff. And especially if you live in a nice kind of warmer climate area, that would be nice, like it is, Probably in the winter time, not so much, because then you'd have to, where I live in Michigan, you'd have to figure out how to heat the thing, so that can get costly. Now this, I thought was neat. This is like a nice shower. I always like the looks of those rain head showers and stuff. Those I know those rain head showers are really expensive, but that is definitely neat. I like the kind of idea of the skylight, but again, I would be afraid over time the skylighting would be would leak, and would have to be addressed as soon as possible. But yeah, definitely, I think it would be neat, I definitely wouldn't mind showering and something like that, Now this I thought was neat, To me, this right here, this little like outdoor tiny house bedroom thing here, this was A-frame. This was awesome right here. This, to me, it's like somebody who built this really wanted to like stay kind of out of the elements and bring like the outdoors inside kind of thing, and to me that would be neat. Now I don't know, but whoever created that, if I was him, I'd be almost tempted to make that into what they call an Airbnb, so people could stay. Because man, I wouldn't mind staying in that. The windows are really nice and big, and boy, you really feel like you're actually outdoors and in. And the best part is you wouldn't have to worry about mosquitoes attacking you and bugs and stuff. So, but yeah, that definitely would, to me, I just think that's cool. Like, it's really nice to see people do these things and be able to take something out of their brain, like take a vision they have, and just simply make it a reality. That's what fascinates me with these, is somebody actually took the time to envision something and make it a reality. Just like I talk about building a horseless carriage. One of these days, I would like to take that vision in my head and be able to do that, Obviously, these people are real talented than me. I'm not a very bright person, so it would be a lot more harder for me to do my idea. But man, to me, that's just neat right there. It's like outdoors and in. The only thing I would actually be afraid of owning that would be is having that in the middle of the woods and a tree accidentally comes down and takes out the windows, And imagine being in something like that during like a lightning storm or rain, and listening to the rain hit the window. That'd be kind of neat, That would be something, if you had a girlfriend or a partner or whatever, take them on a romantic date, overnighter. Now this here is just some children's bunk beds. I wish I had these when I was a kid, Now, ladies that are seeing this, comment down below what you would do if you went to a man's house and he invited you in his bedroom and he had those set up. Well, how would you react if you saw that in your boyfriend man's bedroom, If you went to your man's house and in his bedroom he had those kind of bunk beds set up. How would that make you feel, See, something like that would be neat to, instead of making a bunk bed, it'd be neat to make something like that, but in like a little push skirt kind of little mobile tiny house almost. Built something like that, but in a pushcart mobile tiny house. Somehow. Now that right there, I wish I had that right now in my backyard. Yeah. I would definitely love to have that log cabin type tower shack thing. I bet that's probably what that probably is somebody, because a lot of like national forests and stuff used to have these towers for the park rangers to watch for forest fires or anything like that. I think Michigan up in the UP and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, I think used to have stuff like that in their forest areas, like in the national forest for like the forest park rangers to keep an eye on the forest and make sure nothing danger happens. But I would love to tour that. That would be a neat thing to have. If I had that, I'd be putting a wood stove in there to keep it nice and warm and toasty in there. The only thing is, I'd hate to have to, in the wintertime, soak down the steps, though. Clear the ice off the steps. Now this, you can tell, was clearly, just, them little building blocks you used to play with when you're a kid, and they made it look like a face there. The light shines on it and it looks like a human face. Looks like that'd be something in like an office building or like a museum of some sort. I'd say like an art gallery museum. And to me, again, whoever did this is a talented person. They had that vision and they made it a reality. And that's what I can admire is the time and efforts and the vision. The person says, I have this vision. They was able to make it a reality, and it's really neat, And the shadow makes it look like a human face, and that's just a kind of a neat wow thing, Now here's a neat, kind of interesting table. What kind of makes it interesting is the like chairs though. The chairs were what caught my eye, I don't know how comfortable they would be to sit on, but the chairs were kind of neat, And I kind of wonder if that's with the. I see these tables before online that can expand out and make bigger, where like it'll have that little middle circle where the middle circle will like kind of drop down and make the table bigger, like what they call an eave. Like a lot of tables used to have the little thing in the middle that you could take out and make it smaller, and then a middle piece to put it back in and make it bigger, like an eave. They used to call, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the word right, eave. But yeah. Well, again, that's, it's neat to see, I do like the kind of darker color of leather on it, because what I would like about something like that, the darker colors, is if you get if over time they get a little dirty and grimy, and you don't catch it right away in the dirt, you don't gotta worry about it showing up too much as like you would in a brighter color. Like when it comes to like kitchens and stuff, I just never care for like bright colors that show up too much dirt and stuff, In the event, if you're working a lot of hours and you come home and you ain't got a whole lot of time to clean up your house, and so you kind of do a quick rush through, and you might miss a spot or something, But yeah, that's what I like about it. I do like how the green and the blue kind of blends together, and definitely a nice table, I'd say. Now here's a little like bench coffee table thing. I think it's like a bench. I don't know. But you can tell somebody there was pretty talented with the pipe wrenches. I didn't realize this when I was looking at this before, that it was pipe wrenches. I see. That's neat. And it looks like clamping down on the. Now this I thought would be perfect for somebody that lives in like a small apartment or something, and you ain't got a whole lot of room. This would be a neat thing altogether. Like think about it. If you're living in a small apartment and you didn't have a whole lot of room, this would be a couch table setup would be good. You could have a little workstation by and stuff, to work. Maybe set up a laptop or something, and then somebody could be watching movies, or a person could be on a laptop doing some computer work. That couch table setup, I think that would be perfect in like a small apartment or something that ain't got a whole lot of room. Especially those like New York apartments. Now this I thought was again an awesome thing. Good for if you ain't got a whole lot of space. In like a bedroom and stuff. But I imagine it looks like it's pretty tall, so you would have to need a pretty high ceiling. But man, that's a neat thing right there. Like, I definitely like how it's got the little bookshelf and then the little reading corner section and the big large bed. This would be good. A good, looks like it's full size beds. This would be a good one to have in your bedroom if you're a married couple and you kind of get in a fight with your spouse and they tell you to go sleep on the couch and just climb up on the top bunk and say, well, I'll just sleep on the top bunk. I thought that'd be kind of neat. And then you got some like a nice little reading quarters there. You add your books and stuff. And I thought that was really neat. I'd like to have something like that in my room. I tell you what. But again, this is neat. A little bike rack thingy. Would I want it? No, but it's neat. I can see the artistics in it. I mean, instead of having that on a porch like that, to me, it'd be better in a museum. But yeah, that's neat. Not a whole lot to say there about that. Now, this little outdoor patio thing, I like neat. I like how the tree, in a way, is kind of like going up through it. How they incorporated nature and stuff. And what I like kind of too about that is they didn't obviously cut down the tree. They built the structure around the tree and stuff, and it's kind of neat. Now, I could see something like this if you didn't have that tree there. I could see, maybe having like one of those little funny gas fire pits. A lot of fancy patios have one of those little gas fire pits. A lot of people have for fancy patios and stuff. But yeah, that's definitely neat. I thought that was neat. Oh, me, probably I wouldn't have the lounge, probably benches in there. I'd probably set it up with some kind of, some removable furniture, probably more, but still a neat thing. This little now again, this little coffee table thing here, I think it's another one of those neat little. If you ain't got a whole lot of room and you need some storage, this I think would be a neat little thing to have. I don't know how big it would be, so it's probably one of those where it might be a pretty good size and take up some room, but definitely I think it's neat. Ooh, look at that bed right there in that mountain scene. Now that's neat. Like, you can tell the people who do these things, they know what they're doing. It's like just amazing. But the thing is, imagine the price it would cost to have that built. It's like it's neat, but I know one thing. I sure as the world wouldn't want the bill afterwards. But definitely a really neat thing. Now that's a neat structure right there. Well, outdoor playhouse for children. I know some people that got small children that they had that right now. They'd be in their prime. And they might watch this video and see that and say, "Daddy, Daddy, build me that," because their father's a carpenter, so they might see that and go to their daddy and say, "Build us that." Now this little like kind of outdoorsy little tiny house thingy, I thought this little A-frame was neat too. I like how it's just kind of a basic, simple, but neat thing. Kind of like almost like a little hobbit house kind of thing. that would be something I wouldn't mind if I had a pickup truck and trailer. I'd look into getting some scrap building material and try to like recreate something like that. What I would do is either add one of those kind of fancier oil lanterns in there for like the ceiling light, or some real decorative like type solar type light in there, like pendant light. But that would be definitely a neat little thing just to kind of have like kind of out in the middle of the woods if you have a lot of wooded property and you just want to build like a little kind of little just makeshift little getaway thing. Maybe add somehow some like a little bit of storage or somehow like a little shelf in there maybe, and somehow and make like maybe what one could do is kind of raise the bed up just a little bit where you can put some storage underneath the little mattress. I imagine that's just like a little foam mattress on the floor, but almost make like a little bit of a platform so you could store some stuff and maybe some like camping kind of survival gear for the wilderness. So if you happen to find yourself out in the middle of nowhere, you've happened to find yourself kind of lost. It's like say you put it out in the winter, out in the woods, and you get lost in the winter and you come across it, have a little bit of survival stuff to in case you big snowstorm came along and bust you in. Obviously you'd have to insulate it, but I that's definitely neat. You can tell someone made that into like a little just kind of private reading quarters type sleeping quarters. I would be trying to insulate it and put a little wood stove in there as well to try to heat it up, or maybe one of those little Mr. Buddy gas heaters. But yeah, I thought that wouldn't be neat. That'd be something neat to try to convert into like a little tiny house. Carved out of stone. That's wow. Somebody had some skills there. Like to see the inside of that. That's really neat, a neat, amazing thing. Just the architecture of it. Now, when it comes to shutters, I personally like full working shutters instead of just the little decorative ones. But that's just me. Now, I thought this would be neat. These little swinging patio beds. I'd hate to be on that during a really high windstorm and not really shaking around. But yeah. Now I know they made this into like a pengola there, what they call a pentagola, if I'm pronouncing that right. But what I would almost do is make that a full kind of covered roof. Maybe do something like that with a full covered roof and maybe some like skylights, outdoor skylighting, so that way if you're laying on it and you fall asleep and the rainstorm comes along, you be a little protected from the rain. That little baby crib with hammock thing is kind of neat, but I'd be almost afraid of a small child somehow falling out of that. But ooh, that's a neat staircase. Those windows, when I see those kind of windows, they remind me of the old factories, the 100-year-old factories, you drive around and see a lot in America, the old industrial factories. That's what those windows always remind me of an old factory and stuff. And them steps are really nice in the middle. It just kind of gets, that's what I feel. But yeah, you can, judging by those beams there, you can tell those were probably made back in the days when beams were actual beams and not a bunch of board sandwiches together, Because nowadays they make a lot of big old beams like that, but they sandwich them together out of like softwood and stuff. And that was back when, you had to have some muscles to lift them bad boys up. So yeah, that's probably like 100-year-old building back when they just threw a log on the ground and they just basically scraped off the bark and used a straight saw to shape it into a rectangle. Ooh, that's neat. The only thing I would hate about that is over over time the fabric netting getting a hole in it and then you bottom out, But yeah, but that's definitely neat, That's definitely a neat thing. Now here's another old platform seating. I see like a swing seating. I could see somebody sitting on that little swing there and accidentally knocking over their drink or food or something, you know. But that's definitely a neat thing. Again, what I like about it is it's a simple, I guess you call it elegant, simple but nice, you know. That's and now this right here, this little like kind of tiny house build. This inside is neat. What I like is the loft section up there. You can tell it's got a little catwalk for if you got a cat, you know, like a little hole there. But the loft up top there, the little netting. I like that idea because then that way if somebody's up there, like if you have a small child or something up there, you don't gotta worry about them falling off the loft. That's why when I see tiny houses, I with a loft, I'm always kind of the person that thinks, you know, you should have at least some sort of railing up at the top or completely close it in. What I would almost do in a tiny house build was a loft. I would either make it a full loft where it goes from all the way to the front of the structure to the back of the structures, what I would do in like a tiny house build instead of like these little half lofts. But if I was going to do just like a half loft, I would completely kind of like close in part of it and then have like a little doorway, so that way somebody could be in the upstairs part of it and kind of have a little privacy when they're doing certain things and stuff or whatever. Now that right there is a neat thing, especially if you're somebody that don't like a whole lot of cords all over the place and you just simply want to kind of hide your cords and certain things and you want to kind of clean up the look of your TV and wall mount, you know. And then it would make, and to me, having it that like that would make the TV look more like a picture frame and stuff. And I I could definitely see how handy that would be, especially if you got a lot of stuff hooked up to your TV, you know, and you don't want and you want to make your place look nice, and you don't want people a whole bunch of dangling cords and stuff. And then too, doing something like that, you know, also would not put a whole lot of wear and tear on your power cords and TV cords and stuff. Now this wood carving here, somebody must have been good with one of those wood burning pens, and I have one of those and wish I could do something like that. But yeah, somebody definitely got some talented skills there. Now this is a platform light up bed, and now I can see that neat. It makes it look like a floating bed. I see what they did where they added probably some of those little LED strip lightings to make it look like a floating bed there. But yeah, that's definitely I think a neat thing. Oh, there's a little chicken coop. That's kind of neat. Uh, yeah, yeah. See, they got the egg box there and stuff. That's neat. No, a swinging bed there. That's neat. The only thing I would be afraid of that is over time. Yeah, you know, it gets weaker and comes crashing down, but it's neat. Now this right here is neat. Now that other picture before that was kind of like a shelf, kind of with the twigs and stuff. What I think would be neat is to do that and add like they did here, lighting, like light up the branches. Like this, to me, is neat. I could, if what I would do with something like that is make something like that, but have it was kind of low lighting, so at night you can kind of light up a wall and use it as like a night light. That would be in like a big room, you know, so you can kind of find your way and stuff. Have that like in a hallway or in a big living space, and you want to, you know, well, that's to me that's kind of neat there, you know. Ooh, somebody 35 posting board. That's neat. The detail on that, like the what they call that dovetail, I think it is. No, I don't think so. I think it might be dovetail joint. But it's a perfect joint anyway. It's a neat little joint. I like to. Ooh, outdoor shower. Somebody. Yeah, that's neat. Glad they got the wall up tall enough where nobody can see you, when you're. The only thing with that outdoor, I just thought of this, the only thing I'd hate about that outdoor shower is if some neighbor having one of those little drones and they'd be able to peek at you when you're showering, that would definitely be, something to think about, obviously having an outdoor shower like that and somebody with drone technology flying over, peeking at you, seeing what you're doing. But it's definitely neat. Ooh, I don't know how to play a guitar, but I think this would be a cool thing to have hanging up on a wall like that, You can tell, again, I watched videos before on the internet about building guitars and doing this sort of thing is not too hard, to do if you buy the little kits and stuff to build your own guitar, but that's definitely neat. The only question would be is how well would it play? I obviously don't have any experience in playing electric guitars. I don't know how to play the guitar or anything like that, but I know it's all sometimes you gotta get a good sound and stuff, and they use certain types of wood to get that perfect sound. So I understand that some people would see that and be like, well, yeah, well, how well does it play? How well does it sound? I think obviously somebody who did this just obviously made like something for like an art piece, probably, But it's definitely neat. I'd love to have something like that hanging up on my wall, and because it would be a good conversation piece to have hanging up on your wall, and to talk to people about and say, hey, look at this, It definitely spark up some conversation. Ooh, that's neat right here. Now, I've seen people do this before. There's a YouTuber I watch called Cheap RV Living. The guy that runs it, his name is Bob Wells, Cheap RV Living. And he does videos about people doing this all the time, converting their vehicles or vans or turning something basically into camping and off-grid nomad. He's a nomad liver guy that does this sort of thing. And I've seen this a lot, and I think it's neat how some people do those setups. So if you'd like to see more of that kind of stuff, head on over to Cheap RV Living, Bob Wells' channel, because he does videos about people doing this sort of thing to their vehicles all the time. And it's just amazing how people can take a small space and make it very useful and get a lot out of it and stuff, And it's neat, and seeing them using the ball bearing drawer guides and all that stuff, and it's, to me, it's just awesome. Gives you more space for a lot of stuff, and like obviously you can see where you put your bed and a cooler and all that stuff. Definitely neat. Check out 39 here. Ooh, look at that. Almost to me looks like a pallet kind of bed, and with little rocks to me to look like rocks. Well, that is neat how they did that. Again, that's a neat, and it's simple, It's just kind of a neat, simple thing, and really, sticks out a lot if you're into kind of like an artsy bed, Now, this is neat right here, little shelf, a little knick-knack shelf. That's what I would use it for, is to put kind of little decorative knickknacks on and stuff. Maybe display some of my knives on that. I've been doing videos about. But, yeah, it's definitely neat, You can tell somebody really... Looks like almost they made that out of metal almost to look like wood sticks, like a tree branch, but I see neat. Now me, I'd probably do something like that, but make it out of wood maybe. But it's definitely neat. Neat looking. Now this door handle set up here, I think would be neat to have on like a log cabin out in the wilderness. Be neat, and again, it's something simple but unique. It's to me, it's kind of fascinating. It's just shows you what people are capable of doing if you just put your mind to it. This is a prime example of if you put your mind to it, you can make it a reality and make it something unique, Now let's, what's neat here too, this little kind of TV stand, modern look kind of thing, and I really like that, I can see this being inside like a kind of a little bit upper scale like apartment in like say like New York, Manhattan or something, like some I could picture myself seeing this in like a New York apartment kind of thing, like a big city apartment, Now that's pretty handy there, a little shoe rack type thingy, Me, I wouldn't have a use for it because I obviously we don't have enough shoes to probably fill the thing, but I can see where that would be handy, especially if you got a lot of people living in your household and stuff, and you don't want to have a whole bunch of clutter of shoes just lying somewhere, But yeah. That would be, I could see something like that probably in like a farmhouse type situation, kind of in the entryway of a farmhouse. Like, now that's neat for mounting a TV. Actually, I think I kind of like that better than the other one they featured on here. But yeah, that's definitely a neat thing. Ooh, vintage shelves. That's neat. To me, it looks vintage, anyways. But now that's something there I could see. To me, would strike me as something you would see in like 100-year-old farmhouse or something. Like some old farmhouse that dated from like the 1700s or 1900s. Maybe something like in like a Scottish style farmhouse almost, but yeah, like in the kitchen. But yeah. I definitely like that glass jug, that's a neat jug. Now, this coffee table was definitely neat, but the only thing I wouldn't like about it is it's glass, so I'd hate to slam a glass down on it or something kind of heavy and it bust. I know those, when they make those coffee tables with glass, they use a pretty thick, heavy-duty glass, but still, I'd be afraid of especially if you got kids. I've seen some YouTube videos where people had children and they had a glass coffee table, and it was definitely a no-no. I'd hate to have that around small kids, but now this closet armoire thing, that's neat. Again, I could picture that something, seeing that in like a old like farmhouse type setting, and that's I like the kind of dark wood and stuff, like having that in like the main entryway of a farmhouse. You'd come into the farmhouse and that would be right there. Definitely neat. I know one thing, it's big, so you would definitely have to have the room, but yeah, I could see that being handy. Now this is kind of neat, taking little pieces of wood and round little wood chalks or whatever you want to call it and painting the wall. I wouldn't personally do it, but I do see the neatness in it, somebody's vision. Ooh, chandelier type table. Now, to me, somebody who would probably have that would be, I'd say, be more into like motorcycles and kind of building classic cars, like a mechanic type person almost. But that's definitely a neat thing, And you can, to me, it makes you when you see this stuff, it makes you kind of envision like who made such a thing, like who's like you're trying to picture what type of person came up with that idea almost, and it's just a real neat, thing in it, I think it's neat, and you can tell and appreciate somebody's time and efforts into making that. Now this here I thought was kind of neat, a wooden bicycle. Oh, well there, that's definitely an interesting thing, It'd be to me it'd be kind of neat to almost recreate something like that, but I imagine over time, obviously, they probably made it for more of a display piece than an actual to ride, obviously. But you can tell that's definitely. If I had something like that, I'd be putting pedals on it and trying to pedal around town on and running it through the mud puddles. But yeah. But yeah, it's definitely that's a neat thing, envision a wooden bicycle. What that reminds me of is years ago when I was a kid in school, I used to get those books that had like the history of motorcycles and stuff, and seeing pictures of a wooden motorcycle go from way back in the day, like from the early days in like the 1800s, 1900s. That was real popular. I remember in the books that had the history of motorcycles and stuff, they had this picture. I know this type of wooden motorcycle I'm talking about was a real popular thing, and you could probably find images on Google search engine, but it was something from like the 1800s or 1900s. I can't remember what they called it or brand or anything, but that's what that bicycle reminds me of. It's just popped in my head as the wooden motorcycle I used to see in history books. But yeah. But yeah, there you go. There's kind of a product review, well, not a product review video, but a reaction video, as they call it, of me looking at pictures and basically doing ooh. So if you like this sort of content, subscribe to Boomhauer69 channel, because I'm going to try to do a little bit of everything on this channel. So comment below your thoughts on this video and these pictures you see here, and again, I will put the link to this in the description, so you can check this out for yourself, this article and everything. But hope you all have a good day, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that red subscribe button down below if you ain't already subscribed. Thank you for watching, and like and share this video with everyone you know, and thank you for watching.